Why does no one live in Las Vegas? How can a city that always seems crowded, where you see crowds everywhere, be made up of 90% tourists and only a small percentage of actual residents? What at first glance appears to be an entertainment paradise hides secrets that few know about. Behind the glitz, there are hidden, surprising, and even disturbing reasons that explain why almost no one makes it their home. So join me as I uncover the 35 reasons why no one wants to live in this place. The last ones were the reasons why people are leaving now. Let's start with reason number 35, limited rainfall and arid climate. Though visitors think, oh, desert and sunshine, sounds great. The reality is more punishing when you live there. With fewer than 5 inches of average annual precipitation, there's almost no buffer when things go dry. That means every drip, every lawn you keep green, every pool you fill, all contribute to stress on water resources. Over time, that scarcity pushes up the cost of water, forces strict conservation rules, and makes gardening or green space a continuous struggle. Many residents describe a constant background anxiety about drought and water bills I can't ignore. In other words, you can't just go about life oblivious to water. The desert forces you to notice. 34. Rapid water table depletion and groundwater loss. Under the flashy skyline, another issue lurks. Las Vegas isn't just draining surface reservoirs. It has lost massive quantities of underground water. Studies of satellite imagery show that between 2002 and 2024, the equivalent volume of an entire Lake Mead has vanished from underground aquifers. That's double the speed of what's being lost from the surface. Yes, that's a real thing. That means subsurface reserves that might once have cushioned shortfalls are disappearing. Over many decades, land subsidence, ground sinking risk increases. Wells become more expensive or fail, and the hidden bank of water you didn't see is shrinking fast. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and give a like to discover interesting facts to share that few people know about the US states. 33. Dependence on Colorado River and Lake Mead vulnerability. Vegas doesn't get its water from local springs or abundant rainfall. It's almost entirely tied to the Colorado River and Lake Mead, but those sources are under stress. In fact, Southern Nevada's water allocation was cut by 7 billion gallons in 2022 alone as part of a Tier 2 shortage rule. The federal government declared the Colorado River in shortage, triggering automatic cuts to usage by states, including Nevada. Despite occasional wetter years, Lake Mead still sits well below earlier safe levels. Because Vegas's water fate is tethered to river politics, upstream use, and climate trends, residents feel exposed. A bad stretch upstream, a multi-year drought or policy shift, and suddenly your tap or your water price could feel the pain. 32. Rising water costs and usage restrictions. As supply tightens, costs go up and people get squeezed. Las Vegas authorities have already proposed giving the Southern Nevada Water Authority power to limit residential water use, especially for high users. This isn't theoretical, proposals are in motion. On top of that, tiered pricing rewards low use but punishes heavy users, meaning if your garden, your pool, your landscaping is ambitious, your bill can skyrocket. In some instances, new lawns have been banned or heavily discouraged, and many residents convert yards to xeriscapes, rock, desert plants, etc. That means you live with artificially constrained landscaping, which can sap aesthetic joy for folks used to greener locales. 31. Urban heat and increasing extreme heat days. Yes, sunny is a marketing line, but when summertime kicks in, it becomes oppressive. Climate projections show that what used to be around 7 days annually, exceeding 108.9 degrees Fahrenheit, about 43.8 degrees Celsius, may rise dramatically by mid-century. Some estimates suggest 30 to 40 or more such days. Even more moderate but still punishing temperatures, 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, stretch across months. That leads to skyrocketing power bills, air conditioning on non-stop, health risks, heat exhaustion, especially for vulnerable folks, and quality of life issues. It's tough to enjoy outdoor time. When your outside is a furnace, you start feeling trapped indoors. 30. Poor air, quality, and dust. Particulate matter, desert windstorms, dust, Fine particles from development and heat with hardly any rain means that air quality can often suffer. On dusty days, visibility drops, allergies spike. The arid, often windy environment stirs up more particulate matter. For folks with asthma or respiratory sensitivity, that becomes a daily nuisance or health hazard. Moreover, heat traps buildup of smog. When you live somewhere, you don't just visit when the skies are clear. You face it on bad days, and that can degrade enjoyment, impact outdoor activity, and raise medical costs. Over time, coughing more, sneezing more, breathing deeper, these matter. 29. Flooding and flash, desert storm surprises. Yes, Vegas is way more desert than rainfall, but when big storms come, typically in monsoon or tropical spillover, the impact is dramatic. The 1999 Las Vegas flood is famous. Approximately 3 inches of rain, which is a lot for the region, in a short time brought sweeping flash flooding, 163 rescues, damage to hundreds of homes, and over $20 million in public property losses. Because the ground is so hard and dry, heavy rains don't soak in, they run off. Infrastructure has to manage sudden torrents, so the risk, you might be caught in a surprise deluge in roads full of runoff, or risk your home in flood paths, even though the place feels desert dry almost always. That mismatch is a gamble. 28. Aging housing stock and hazardous building conditions. A lot of residential and apartment buildings in Las Vegas are converted from older motels or built under looser inspections historically. One dramatic warning, the 2019 Alpine Motel Apartments fire in a building that had failed several fire inspections, killed 6 people and injured many others. The building had structural and safety deficiencies. For example, blocked exits, faulty doors. After that tragedy, officials ramped inspection requirements, but many older units still slip through. For a resident, this means risk. Smoke alarms that don't work, deficient wiring, heating systems pushed to dangerous extremes, or maintenance that lags. Over time, the cost to safely retrofit or keep up old units can spoil your budget. 27. Unpredictable power and high electricity demand. Because of the heat, electricity demand in summer surges, air conditioning on all the time. While outages aren't frequent like in some places, the strain on the grid is significant, especially in heat waves or during infrastructure stress. Plus, Nevada's electricity rates tend to be higher in peak usage tiers, so your monthly bills jump during hottest months and your system HVAC wiring takes more wear. To live comfortably, you often need higher-end equipment, better insulation, which many houses in desert climates skimp on, and backup plans. It's a constant tension between comfort and cost, and many first-time movers are surprised when the August bill dwarfs expectations. 26. Skyrocketing cost of living, especially utilities and housing. Even though there's perception of cheap desert life, many expenses are steep. Housing, especially newer and safer construction, comes at a premium because to build safely in heat with proper insulation and HVAC, and to manage water/energy systems, costs pile up. Utilities, electricity, water, gas add up fast. In many cases, a person from a temperate region might expect similar costs plus heat, but instead find the desert overhead swallow much more. When you do the math, mortgage or rent plus utilities plus cooling plus maintenance, many locals grumble that their effective cost per square foot rivals much nicer climbs. It becomes a long-term burden. 25. Tourism-driven economy and employment instability. One of Vegas's biggest strengths is also one of its Achilles heels. The economy is heavily dependent on tourism, gambling, entertainment, hospitality. When tourism slows, economic downturns, pandemics, travel restrictions, the ripple effect is massive. Jobs vanish, hours get cut, local revenues shrink. During COVID-19, Nevada's economy was among the most vulnerable in the US, losing billions because of tourism collapse. In a place where many residents work in or rely on tourism sectors, hotels, shows, restaurants, service. You live with a background instability. Your employment can be more volatile than in more diversified economies. For people raising families or planning long-term career stability, that is a major gamble. 24. Traffic chaos and unpredictable driving behavior. Despite the city's relatively modest size compared to Los Angeles or Houston, Vegas traffic can be maddening. Why? Because it's a mix of tourists unfamiliar with local roads, rideshare drivers darting around for pickups, and locals trying to survive both. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department reports thousands of crashes annually, with driver impairment, alcohol, fatigue, distraction as a leading factor. Add in constant construction zones, long stoplight cycles, and sudden surges during big events, and you get an urban traffic pattern that feels chaotic and often unsafe. Commuting a few miles can take surprisingly long, and when you add the summer heat, sitting in a car on scorching asphalt feels like being slow cooked. 23. Limited public transportation options. If you don't drive, Vegas can be frustrating. The Regional Transportation Commission, RTC, runs buses, but coverage outside the central corridors, like the Strip and downtown, thins out quickly. Frequency drops off late at night, and routes aren't optimized for suburban sprawl. There's no metro or train system to speak of. Many neighborhoods simply assume every adult owns a car, and daily errands can become logistical puzzles if you don't. That dependence not only raises costs, gas, insurance, maintenance, but adds a sense of isolation. For a supposed 24-hour city, getting around without a personal vehicle is surprisingly impractical. 22. Overcrowded healthcare system. The desert draws retirees and workers alike, but the healthcare infrastructure has struggled to keep up. Reports from the Nevada Hospital Association show that the state ranks near the bottom nationally in doctors per capita. Wait times in emergency rooms can stretch for hours, and finding a primary care physician accepting new patients is a common headache. Specialists expect long delays. During heat waves or tourist surges, hospitals become overburdened and staff shortages worsen outcomes. It's not that care is non-existent, but access is difficult and often frustrating. For anyone with chronic health conditions, this factor alone can be a deal breaker. 21st, low education rankings. Nevada's public education system consistently ranks near the bottom nationally, and the problem shows little sign of improvement. As of 2024, the state remains between 45th and 50th place in national education quality indexes, reflecting years of underfunding and systemic challenges. Schools across Clark County, the fifth largest district in the U.S., struggle with overcrowded classrooms, a lack of qualified teachers, and alarming turnover rates that disrupt learning continuity. Many educators cite low salaries and high living costs as major reasons for leaving. For parents, this often translates into spending extra time and money on private tutoring or enrolling their children in expensive private institutions. Even though a few magnet and charter schools perform well, they are the exception, not the rule. Long-term residents frequently mention that finding quality education is one of the toughest parts of raising a family in Las Vegas, limiting the city's appeal for newcomers. 20. High crime rates and public safety concerns. Let's be real, Vegas has a crime problem that fluctuates but rarely disappears. The city's property crime rate is significantly higher than the national average, and while violent crime varies by neighborhood, locals often talk about theft, car break-ins, and scams as part of daily awareness. Tourist zones attract pickpockets and con artists, but even suburban areas experience burglary spikes. The nightlife and gambling economy naturally draw transient populations, which can make law enforcement tricky. Living there means constant vigilance, good locks, security cameras, and situational awareness are a must, not an option. 19. Transient community and weak neighborhood bonds. Vegas has one of the highest rates of population turnover in the US. Many people move there for work or adventure, but leave within a few years. That constant rotation makes it hard to build lasting community ties. Neighbors change frequently, friendships can be fleeting, and a temporary mindset hangs in the air. The sense of stable belonging you find in more established towns just isn't as strong. Ironically, for a city that thrives on entertainment and connection, the social fabric can feel thin once you step away from the Strip's illusions. 18. Tourism overload and noise pollution. Living in a city that never sleeps sounds glamorous, until you realize it really never sleeps. Sirens, bass-thumping nightlife, and late-night partygoers echoing through residential corridors near the Strip create a constant hum. Even miles away, depending on the neighborhood, you can hear traffic, construction, or event noise late into the night. Tourism congestion makes simple errands, grocery runs, commutes, school drop-offs, unpredictable. Add fireworks displays, concerts, conventions, and motor rallies, and you have a soundscape that rarely offers peace. Many locals end up investing in blackout curtains, white noise machines, or even double-pane windows just to rest. 17. Scarcity of greenery and nature. Fatigue Vegas is in the Mojave Desert, so lush greenery is rare. Outside of meticulously irrigated golf courses and hotel gardens, the landscape is beige, dusty, and rocky. For newcomers used to forests, lakes, or rolling hills, the endless dryness becomes mentally exhausting. There's beauty in the desert, red rock formations, sunsets, big skies, but daily life among gravel yards and sun-scorched roads wears on people. Studies even suggest that limited exposure to greenery can negatively affect mental health. Locals often escape to Mount Charleston or Lake Mead for relief, but that requires driving miles just to see something green. 16. Pest and wildlife problems. You might expect the desert to be insect-free, but nope. Scorpions, black widow spiders, cockroaches, and roof rats are common intruders. The heat drives pests indoors, especially in summer. Termites also thrive in certain areas, damaging older homes. Pest control becomes a regular, unavoidable expense. And let's not forget desert critters. Coyotes and snakes often wander into suburban developments on the edges of town. Keeping pets safe requires constant vigilance. Locals joke that if the heat doesn't drive you crazy, the scorpions will. 15. Strain on mental health. The combination of extreme heat, isolation, and overstimulation takes a toll. Research from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, has linked prolonged high temperatures to increased emergency visits for mental health crises. The city's constant sensory overload, flashing lights, noise, and the always-on lifestyle can lead to fatigue and anxiety. Seasonal depression may seem unlikely under constant sun, but monotony and social fragmentation contribute to it. Many residents describe feeling disconnected or burned out by the city's energy after a few years. Paradoxically, living in a 24-hour playground can make everyday life feel hollow. 14. Economic inequality and homelessness. Behind the glittering lights and extravagant casinos, Las Vegas hides a harsh social reality, one of the highest homelessness rates per capita in the United States. According to the Homeless Alliance of Southern Nevada, an estimated 6,000 people are unhoused on any given night, many clustered near the downtown area or along the city's tunnel systems beneath the Strip. Soaring rent prices, limited affordable housing, untreated mental health conditions, and widespread addiction have all fueled this growing crisis. For everyday residents, it's a stark and constant reminder that the entertainment capital of the world has a deeply unequal side. The contrast is jarring. Multi-million-dollar resorts share the same streets as makeshift tent camps. Efforts to address homelessness exist, but progress remains slow, hindered by funding gaps and bureaucratic hurdles. For those who move to Vegas expecting glamour, the visible poverty and social divide can be an uncomfortable truth that's impossible to overlook. 13. Suburban sprawl and urban planning issues. Las Vegas sprawls outward rather than upward, creating wide distances between amenities. The layout favors cars over pedestrians, with large parking lots, few shaded sidewalks, and long stretches of identical housing. That design discourages walking and social interaction while increasing commute times. Urban planners have called Vegas one of America's least walkable major metros. Combine that with heat, and even short errands feel like mini road trips. Sustainability advocates worry that such sprawl is unsustainable long-term given energy and water constraints. 12. Earthquake and environmental risks. Although not as infamous as California, southern Nevada lies within a surprisingly active seismic zone. The Frenchman Mountain Fault, along with several lesser-known fault lines running beneath the Las Vegas Valley, are capable of producing moderate but potentially damaging earthquakes. While major quakes are rare, experts warn that the city's infrastructure, particularly older buildings and casinos constructed decades ago, may not be fully prepared for a significant seismic event. Beyond earthquakes, residents must also contend with other environmental threats that are becoming increasingly frequent. Powerful dust storms, or hayboobs, can sweep through the valley with little warning, reducing visibility and worsening respiratory conditions. Wildfires in nearby mountain ranges send smoke drifting into the basin, compromising air quality for days. Add to that the intensifying urban heat island effect, where concrete and asphalt trap heat, pushing summer temperatures beyond 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 46 degrees Celsius. For locals, disaster preparedness isn't just recommended, it's an essential part of daily life in a city where nature's calm can turn dangerous in an instant. 11. Underwhelming job diversity beyond tourism. Outside casinos, hotels, and restaurants, job opportunities can be surprisingly narrow. While tech, logistics, and renewable energy are emerging, the city still relies heavily on service industries. Professional sectors like finance, media, and design are limited compared to major metros. Many educated workers move on after a few years, chasing growth elsewhere. That makes career progression tricky unless you're tied to the entertainment or hospitality machine. The phrase, "great place to work short-term, hard place to grow long-term," fits perfectly here. Before moving on to the top 10, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become a wise expert in American geography. 10. The 24-hour lifestyle fatigue. At first, the idea of 24-hour diners, casinos, and bars sounds liberating, but when every hour feels like daytime, your internal clock takes a beating. Stores, gyms, even some offices operate around the clock, blurring the boundary between work and rest. The constant accessibility encourages late nights, overspending, and insomnia. People who move from cities with clear day-night rhythms often find themselves exhausted after a few months. Sleep deprivation, caffeine dependency, and disrupted family schedules become common. Ironically, the city of endless fun leaves many too drained to enjoy it. 9. Constant construction and endless expansion. Las Vegas is in perpetual growth mode. Cranes dot the skyline, roadways are rerouted, and new developments sprout where desert once stretched. While it's a sign of economic vitality, it's also exhausting for residents. Traffic cones, detours, dust, and noise are permanent companions. The city's infrastructure races to catch up with population growth, meaning water mains, sewer systems, and electrical grids are constantly being updated or repaired. Locals often joke that the city's unofficial mascot should be the orange traffic cone, and they're not wrong. It's everywhere. 8. Overdependence on air conditioning. In Vegas, air conditioning isn't a luxury. It's life support. Without it, homes quickly become uninhabitable. That dependence carries risks. Power outages during heat waves can be dangerous within minutes. Elderly or low-income residents sometimes face impossible choices between high power bills or heat exposure. And when HVAC systems break down, repair wait times stretch because everyone calls at once. You start to realize how fragile comfort really is in a desert environment built around artificial cooling. It's modern convenience balanced on the edge of a thermostat. 7. Light pollution and lack of true darkness. You can spot Las Vegas from space. Literally, the glow from the strip spills across the valley, erasing stars from the night sky. For residents, it means your night never truly arrives. Even in suburban neighborhoods, miles from downtown, skyglow persists. Studies link constant artificial light exposure to disrupted circadian rhythms and lower sleep quality. Stargazers, photographers, and anyone craving peaceful evenings find it frustrating. The irony, you live in one of the most illuminated places on Earth, but rarely see the Milky Way. 6. Overstimulation and the illusion of glamour. Vegas sells spectacle, lights, sound, and indulgence. But living amid that sensory overload can feel numbing. When your grocery store is next to a 24-hour slot parlor, and your drive to work includes billboards for shows and strip clubs, the novelty wears thin. The city markets fantasy, but for residents, that can morph into fatigue or even cynicism. Over time, some locals say they stop noticing the glitter at all, and what's left is noise and neon fatigue. It's like eating dessert every day. Eventually, it's not sweet anymore. 5. Unstable housing market and rental volatility. Housing prices in Las Vegas have always been a roller coaster. After the 2008 crash, home values plummeted, then shot back up again during the 2020s housing boom. As of 2025, rent inflation continues to outpace wages, with median home prices hovering far above pre-pandemic levels. Investors and out-of-state buyers contribute to volatility, buying properties as short-term rentals. That means local renters face fewer options, higher prices, and constant uncertainty about renewals. When your rent can jump hundreds of dollars overnight, home feels less permanent. 4. Gambling culture creeping into everyday life. It's not just casinos. Gambling permeates daily routines. Slot machines in grocery stores, video poker at gas stations, lottery kiosks on every corner. For some, it's harmless background noise. For others, it's temptation. Nevada has one of the highest problem gambling rates in the US, and many locals find it hard to escape the culture. The constant chance to win messaging, even at convenience stores, normalizes risky behavior. Living in Vegas means constantly filtering out the seduction of just one more bet. For recovering addicts or those prone to impulsivity, it's a minefield. 3. Low job security and wage pressure. Even outside the entertainment sector, jobs in Las Vegas often lack stability. The service economy thrives on part-time, seasonal, or contract work. Tip-dependent income can fluctuate wildly with tourism patterns. When conventions cancel or visitor numbers dip, workers feel it immediately. And while Nevada doesn't have a state income tax, a perk at first glance, that benefit often gets erased by the high cost of healthcare, insurance, and utilities. For those seeking steady, predictable careers, the Vegas grind can be a revolving door. 2. Water crisis looming over the city's future. We touched on water scarcity earlier, but this one deserves special attention near the top. Lake Mead, the city's main water source, reached historically low levels in recent years, exposing ghost towns and old shipwrecks. Even after some recovery from wet winters, scientists warn that the long-term trend is decline. Vegas relies on the third intake straw, a deep water tunnel built to keep the supply running if levels fall below older intake points. That's a band-aid, not a cure. With climate models predicting more droughts across the Southwest, the city's entire existence remains tied to a resource that's literally drying up. It's a ticking clock. 1. A city built for visitors, not residents. And here's the ultimate reason why so many people decide not to stay. Las Vegas wasn't designed for long-term living. The infrastructure, economy, and culture all revolve around visitors, not the people who keep the lights on. The Strip thrives while many local neighborhoods languish. Public spaces are scarce, walkability is limited, and community planning often takes a back seat to tourism development. Locals shoulder high costs, extreme weather, and limited civic investment while visitors enjoy a fantasy world insulated from those realities. The moment you stop viewing Vegas as a vacation and start seeing it as home, the illusion cracks, revealing a city that's exhilarating to visit but exhausting to inhabit. After reviewing these 35 reasons, don't get me wrong, visiting Las Vegas can be unforgettable. A long weekend? Fantastic. A week of shows, food, and lights? Go for it. But building a life there, complete with school, commuting, mortgages, and summer electricity bills, is a different story. The city is a dazzling backdrop where millions come to gamble. But few choose to stay when the lights go down and reality sets in. And that's the truth behind the glitter. Las Vegas is one of the most exciting places in the world to visit, and one of the hardest to truly call home. Now that you know the hidden truth about Las Vegas, if you had the chance, would you dare to live there? Or would you like to live there? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments and see how many of us agree with you. However, what many of us will also agree on is watching the video on screen, as we all like to have something to share and learn more about, and that's what this video will achieve. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit like. Otherwise, we may never see each other again.